Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy? Sports and Fitness Rants. I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? Welcome back, guys. Welcome back, man. Got another great video for you guys today, as usual. You guys know the deal on this channel. It's all about setting the record straight, stopping the lies, stopping the narratives, stopping them from rewriting history, guys. And in this video, I want to talk about something that was a clip that was sent to me, and I was, requested or asked to touch and, my opinion, on this clip that I saw. Shout out to CJ Rivera Jr. For sending me this video, and it's a podcast, and it's Brendan Haywood talking about Dirk Nowitzki's 2011 championship run, and him saying that it's the greatest championship run in the history of the game. Now, I know that we've talked about Dirk Nowitzki's 2011 run several times on this channel, and we all know why, because of the 2011 finals in particular. But I just don't understand how we can quantify or qualify the greatest championship run ever. So, to me, there's no way to definitively say that this is the greatest championship run. However, I've told you guys, if it's your opinion that Dirk Nowitzki's championship run in 2011 is the greatest championship run of all time, then you must be able to explain it, right? Like, why you feel that way? What's the explanation, the reasonings? What are the factors that are determining this for you? And when I listen to Brendan Haywood give his explanation, like when he broke it down, and I like Brendan Haywood, man. I'm not saying anything wrong with what he said here, but to me, we're not being 100% accurate, and we're not being consistent, all right? That's the problem. Like, you're not consistent. What we hold to one player, or we mention for one player, we won't mention for another guy in some of these scenarios. And we're going to break it down what he said to explain why that was the greatest championship run in NBA's history, guys. And I want to thank you guys, everyone across the world, everyone across states has been supporting my channel. Once again, guys, I am truly, truly humbled by all support, man. And you guys know what to do, man. Turn the volume all the way up. Hit that play button. Remember, these videos are for educational purposes. And let's roll. So, yes, guys, like I said, man, shout out to CJ Rivera Jr. for sending me this video, like I said, of Brendan Haywood on this podcast. And they're talking about Dirk Nowitzki's 2011 championship run. And the guy who's, hosting the podcast, they bring it up, and he asked him, there's been a lot said about the 2011 run by Dirk Nowitzki, one of the greatest runs of all time. And Brendan Haywood says, I think it's the greatest run of all time, right? And and this is what happens. This is when you end up losing someone like me, anyway. When he says what he says, guys, greatest finals run. It's not a debate. It's not a debate. See, that's right. What do you mean it's not a debate? What is, there's no definitive way to state a statement like this and then say there's no debate. Like, that's when you lose me right there. That's when you start to sound ridiculous. All right, it's not a debate that's the greatest run of all time. Come on, man. And then he says, when you look at who Dirk had to beat, see, and this is what I'm talking about, guys. They tried to make it about the names on the back of the jerseys, right? But they're not going to give you the context and perspective about this stuff. So we'll just throw names out, right? And I'm going to break it down. This is why I said you're not doing Dirk Nowitzki a service here. I get it. Brendan Haywood was on that team. He has an attachment, right, to that Dallas Maverick team, to Dirk Nowitzki. I get all that. But you must remain consistent. And you have to be real and honest here. All right, so let's see what he says here to explain it. Now, remember, he says not a debate. Not even a debate. Greatest finals run. Not even a debate. He goes this. And this is what he starts to proceed. Obviously, Portland first round, that's Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge. No, it wasn't, guys. No, it wasn't. You see what I'm saying? He tried to just throw out the names. Oh, Brandon Roy. People know Brandon Roy. Anyone knows the 2000 era of NBA, then you guys would know Brandon Roy as one of those what-ifs, right? He was a what-if. We don't really bring him up much in the what-ifs, because there are bigger what-ifs like Tracy McGrady and the Penny Hardaways and the Grant Hills and the Len Biases, guys that we think about. But when you think about Brandon Roy, he's a what-if, right? We think about Dirk Rose gets brought up a lot. Brandon Roy's a what-if. And Brandon Roy had a couple of years there where he was sensational. Like a couple of years there, man. It was very short-lived for Brandon Roy. But this season that Brendan Haywood was telling you that, oh, man, that's Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge in the first round. No, it's not. That was already after the injuries. Brandon Roy wasn't even a starter at this point, guys. This might have even been his last season in the league. This was not Brandon Roy that he's trying to make him seem. You see what I'm saying? Like, he's not being genuine. You're being disingenuous. You're just talking about names. You're just throwing names out to make it seem, oh, it was so impressive. They had to go against Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge in the first round. The Dallas Mavericks were a better team than the Portland Trailblazers, man, in 2011. Can anyone tell me what LaMarcus Aldridge has done in his career? And I'm not a knock on him, but to throw his name out there like he's just some formidable player. It's LaMarcus freaking Aldridge, guys. Come on, man. I mean, when Damian Lillard was there all these years, they didn't do anything. They didn't do nothing. Nothing. He's a good player, guys. But to throw his name out there like, oh my God, Dirk had to go against Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge. Come on, man. Let's stop. Let's stop. Like I told you, that's not true. Brandon Roy was not Brandon Roy. He wasn't even a starter. That was after the injuries. But he throws him out there as if he was at his peak. It's not true. Come on, Haywood. Keep it real, man. You got to be honest. Make sure you keep the facts in line here. Stay consistent. Don't manipulate and try to create a narrative for your boy Dirk Nowitzki here. Just to pump his championship run-ups. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're trying to pump it up. Just talk about what it was. Let's be real. Then he says this. Then you got to realize the next series, Kobe and Powell coming off a championship and swept them. Listen, I don't like doing videos like this too much sometimes because I don't want people to think that I'm trying to knock Dirk Nowitzki's run here, or I'm trying to knock the Mavericks in 2011, or I'm trying to, call out Brendan Haywood. That's not what it's about. This is only about keeping consistent and staying in line with the facts and keeping it real and understanding you can't quantify something like the greatest championship run of all time. But like I said, if you're going to try to, then you can't lie about it, though. Just be real and just put out what the actual run was. Don't throw in Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge like they were some formidable team, like they were formidable players, and you're not even being accurate here. And then, yes, we understand it beat Kobe and Powell, right? That's the same thing LeBron James fans always bring up. Oh, that Dirk Nowitzki team beat Kobe, though. We get that. Kobe's team wasn't up 2-1, though, were they? Was Kobe's team the super team that he stacked up to beat? No. So once again, you're throwing Kobe in the conversation for no reason. Kobe made that Lakers team. He made Pau Gasol a Hall of Famer. They were coming off of 3 straight finals appearances, guys. Back-to-back wins. They were going for a 4th run, a 4th consecutive trip to the finals. That is hard to do. So once again, the Lakers were dealing with a lot of wear and tear. Guys were just physically drained. They were mentally drained. They didn't have it in them. Look at the series. They just weren't. They was not there. But no doubt. But the Mavericks beat them. They swept them right over. Absolutely, man. There's no excuse. The Mavericks were a good team, and they beat the Lakers, no doubt. Once again, the Lakers were going for their 4th trip to the finals, man. That's not easy to do, right? It's hard to do. So they got knocked out in the second round that year. Dallas Mavericks beat them. No doubt about it. The Mavericks were a good team, weren't they? They sure as hell were. Jason Kidd led that postseason in assists. Tyson Chandler led that postseason in rebounds. So what are we talking about here, right? They were formidable. So he continues and says this. Then you got to realize the next series, it's KD, Russ, and Harden. Gentleman sweep. That's what he says. Gentleman sweep. So what is he doing now? Once again, he's just throwing out names on the jersey, right? He's throwing out Brandon Roy, LaMarcus Aldridge, Kobe and Powell, KD, Russ, and Harden. Now, when you think about KD, Russ, and Harden now, all these years later, you're not impressed by that? Because, listen, aren't the these are the same kind of people that will tell us that LeBron James beat KD, Russ, and Harden when they were young. Well, that happened to be the next season. So LeBron James faced that same OKC team the next year in the finals, and then people will say, yes, LeBron James needed a super team to beat a bunch of 21, 22-year-olds. These guys were young babies. Well, they were younger in 2011. Russell Westbrook wasn't anybody at that time. James Harden was a 6th man. And once again, what is James Harden proven to be? Nobody. Kevin Durant's proven to be what? What? A guy who needs to stack teams up. He's a front runner. He's a sensitive clown, Kevin Durant. That's what's been proven. The realest one out of all of them is Russell Westbrook. But he's not like that. So you're bragging about beating 3 players that are really not that impressive individually of themselves. And the team overall, OKC, they were young. So you beat a young team that was up and coming. Don't knock LeBron James, but let's celebrate Dirk for that. Doesn't make any sense. You can't be like that. That's not consistent, guys. Not consistent. I'm consistent here. That run by Dirk Nowitzki was amazing. But to say it's the greatest one of all time, how do you quantify this? This is how, this is not how. You're not proving anything to me by lying and exaggerating by using names. You're just throwing names out. Throwing names out. These are not formal. These aren't great teams. Oh, Dirk beat this great team of this team, this guy, and this guy. No, not at all. And then he says this. Then the next series, Bosh, Wade, Braun. Like, how many Hall of Famers did he knock off on that run? See what I'm saying? You're making it about the players, not the actual teams. Because what really great team did he beat? Did the Mavericks really beat? They didn't beat a great team. They beat some good teams. The Lakers were a good team, right? The OKC Thunder were a good team. The Miami Heat were a good team. But once again, when we talk about the Hall of Famers you beat en route to a championship, we're going to sit here and act like that's the only championship run in history that someone had to beat a bunch of Hall of Famers. And like I said, where are these Hall of Famers at in their careers? Are they at their peaks? Are they playing at their best? Because let's go through this. Like I told you, Brandon Roy was at his peak. LaMarcus Aldridge. And then you talk about Kobe and Powell. Were they playing at their best? Were they at their peaks? How about KD, Russ, and Harden? Were they at their peaks or playing at their best? Was LeBron James, Wade, and Bosh at their peaks or playing at their peaks? Because what I tell you guys about the finals that year, we can celebrate Dirk Nowitzki. To me, what he did in the finals is more impressive than the entire run, right? They tried to celebrate the entire run because he beat this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, as if there were other championship runs in NBA's history where I can't go down a laundry list of Hall of Famers that were being en route to that championship. Right? We can go through a laundry list of teams, right? I mean, like I said, when you think about Bill Russell's last championship, right, in 1969, the man was coaching while playing. That wasn't more impressive. That wasn't harder than what Dirk Nowitzki was doing. Like I said, I just don't know how you quantify this or make a statement that says this is definitively the greatest title run of all time. You know, a lot of people bring up Hakeem Olajuwon in 1994, right? I mean, we could point to Hakeem Olajuwon and some of the teams he beat, not the players, the teams that he was going against. Right? We talked about the 50 and 60 win teams that the Rockets had to face during some of these runs. 1995, Dirk Nowitzki wasn't facing those kinds of teams consecutively like this. So we can point to Hakeem Olajuwon. But we can also point to the players, the names on the back of the jersey. If you think about the run for Chicago Bulls in any one of these seasons, I mean, if you think about 1991, right? They beat the New York Knicks, right? They beat the Detroit Pistons, right? They beat the Philadelphia Sixers in the Eastern Conference. So when you're talking about going against someone like Patrick Ewing, who's a Hall of Famer in the first round, right? And then you're going against someone like Charles Barkley, who's a Hall of Famer in the second round, right? These were them at their best. This wasn't Charles Barkley, you know, decrepit and beat down, or rookie Charles Barkley. This is Charles Barkley in 91. This is Patrick Ewing in 91. They're at their best. Now, yes, their teams may not have been great, but this is what I'm talking about. It's not only about the team, but the play and what they're playing like at that time, where they are in their careers. We could point to the Eastern Conference Finals in the Detroit Pistons, Joe Dumars, Dennis Rodman, Isaiah Thomas. Yeah, we can say Isaiah Thomas might have been a little bit nicked up and banged up, but Dennis Rodman was on his second in a row Defensive Player of the Year award, and Joe Dumars was at his peak in 91. The Pistons were going for a three-peat. They won 50 games that season in the Eastern Conference Finals for a reason. So all these Hall of Famers I just mentioned, that was what, 5, 6 Hall of Famers I just mentioned, just to get to the finals. And then in the finals, you're facing Worthy, Magic, Vlade, Diva. Those are 3 Hall of Famers, is it not? Yeah, it is. So when we talk about the players that you're facing, you're going against, and the Hall of Famers, how many Hall of Famers is that right there? A lot of these championship runs, we can go down the Hall of Famers that was beating on the team. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that they were playing at their best and they were at their peaks when you beat them, that they were Hall of Famers at that time. Because like I said, was LeBron James at his best in the 2011 finals? No, he was horrendous. That's why we clown him. So Dirk Nowitzki, in essence, won a championship with the help of LeBron James. LeBron James choked it up to help Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavericks win. We talk about this. It's so funny to me how they labeled Dirk Nowitzki's run as the greatest of all time, but at the same time, they laugh at LeBron James for choking it up. Which one? It can't be both. It can be both. Yes, Dirk was great, but it can't be the greatest run when we, at the same time, we say this guy choked it up. Because if he didn't choke it up, they should have won that, right? We all agree on it. I think we all agree. Don't we all agree? Does everyone say that? That's pretty much the narrative now. That the Miami should have won that. They were the favorite. They were up 2-1. LeBron James supposed to be the best player on the basketball court between both teams, but he wasn't. He averaged 17 points a game when the regular season he averaged 27. So like I tell you guys, and I say many, many times on this channel, if Charles Barkley would have been facing Michael Jordan in 93 and Michael Jordan averaged 17 points a game, then he's a champion right now, Charles Barkley. He's a champion right now. And maybe we're talking about Charles Barkley, one of the most impressive runs of all time. He beat the defending champion Bulls in the finals, right? That's what they would be saying. Yo, man, he beat Jordan and Pippen in the finals. That's what they would be saying. right? He had to go through that tough Western Conference just to get there. The Seattle Supersonics, right? He had to go through all these really good teams. And he would have won a championship beating Jordan. But Jordan didn't choke it for him to do that. So that goes towards this, right? We have to explain that and tell that. That's the context there. He has 41 to beat Barkley. But they'll knock Barkley for not winning a championship. You see what I'm saying? Put Charles Barkley on the Mavericks in 2011, and he's going against LeBron James. Charles Barkley's a champion right now. I mean, all of a sudden now, Charles Barkley's viewed differently. I mean, you got people putting Dirk Nowitzki above Charles Barkley because of that championship run. That's laughable, guys. Laughable. Barkley didn't face LeBron in the finals. Like I said, if Karl Malone and John Stockton had the luxury of facing Michael Jordan averaging 20 points a game in the finals, then they're champions 2 times in a row, back to back. If Michael Jordan averages under 30, or if he averages under 25 points a game in that series, think about it. If he averages 23 points a game, 22 points a game, 21 points a game, if he comes in under his average, like we've seen great players do in the finals time and time again, right? Then those guys are champions, and all of a sudden they're viewed differently now. All of a sudden, yo, this might be the greatest run in 1997, right? All of a sudden now, that's the greatest run. How do you quantify it, guys? You can't. It's just Brendan Haywood's opinion. And that's great for his opinion. I respect his opinion, and he wants to feel that way about Dirk Nowitzki's run. That's great. But when you try to make it about the amount of Hall of Famers he beat, that's where you lose me. That's not a good argument. It's not a valid argument because a lot of the great runs, there have been a lot of great teams, and a lot of teams have beaten a lot of great players and, teams at the same time to get to these wins, to get these championships. I mean, think about the Lakers and the Celtics, guys, in the finals. One of my problems with Scap Attack and some of the things that he says about Nikola Jokic or in comparison to other great players, like he loves to bring up Larry Bird and all the teammates, the great teammates Larry Bird played with. And I laugh at that stuff and I say, these guys act like Larry Bird had all this help, right? Oh, he's playing with Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish and Bill Walton and Danny Ainge and Dennis Johnson, right? He had all these great players around him, but they're acting as if he was playing teams that had no one on them, right? Like he had the advantage over everybody. The dude's facing the Sixers with Moses Malone, Andrew Toney, Dr. J, Maurice Cheeks, like Bobby Jones, like you're talking about 4 or 5 Hall of Famers on all of these teams. He wasn't playing a team with nobody. He didn't play the Miami Heat in the finals like Nikola Jokic did with Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. Like, give me a break, man. He's facing Magic Johnson in the finals with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Cooper, James Worthy. I mean, that's 4 Hall of Famers just right there. Some of these series, you had Jamal Wilkes on that team, Norm Nixon, Bob McAdoo. I mean, my God. So once again, if Larry Bird's team is stacked, he's going against stacked teams. He's not going against these bum teams. He's not going against the 2020 Miami Heat in the finals, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to understand that, man. It doesn't add up when they try to knock these guys. You're talking about stiff competition, right? Larry Bird Celtics going against Isaiah Thomas Pistons with 3 Hall of Famers. Like, it's not like Larry Bird had 3 Hall of Famers or 4 Hall of Famers on his team, and every team he went against was nobody. That's why we laugh at the Michael Jordan 86 when he had scored 63 points. Dude, that team was legendary. And Michael Jordan didn't have a single Hall of Fame on his roster. They had 5. 5. And 3 of them were at the peaks. 3 of them, Bird was at his peak, McHale, Parrish, at their peaks. Dennis Johnson was older in his career, right? Bill Walton was deteriorated, right? He was a 6th man at that time. But there were 5 Hall of Famers, right? So we can't just say, oh, all the Famers he beat en route to that championship makes the greatest one of all time. Because there have been a lot of players that beat Hall of Famers en route to championships. What about the teams that did they beat? Did they beat any great teams? No. And like I said, in the finals, the team that you weren't even supposed to beat choked it up so you could win. It just does not take away from Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavericks. We're talking about being consistent here and keeping the facts in line. It's so funny to me how people will, they'll say one thing and do one thing or argument for one player, and then turn around and then use a different argument for another player, which contradicts the argument they used for the other player originally. Like I said, you're going to knock or celebrate Dirk Nowitzki beating Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden in 2011. At the same time, these same people will laugh at LeBron James beating that same team in 2012 finals because they were young, right? And he had to stack his team up to do it. Same thing. We can't use those guys in that context and say, oh, he beat those guys as if they were 3 MVP winners at that time. That's how you're trying to use it, right? They were the MVP caliber players when you guys beat them in 2011. Dirk Nowitzki was amazing, man. He really was, considering Caron Butler went down, considering the age of Jason Kidd and some of the other players. But these guys stepped up. It's not like Dirk Nowitzki carried them, right? Because that would be a LeBron James fan thing, right? Jason Terry wasn't being carried. He picked up the slack, Jason Terry, did he not? I mean, Jason Terry could have won the Finals MVP that year, guys. He really could have. Not saying that Dirk Nowitzki robbed him or didn't deserve it, but you could have gave it to Jason Terry. I don't think anybody would have thought anything different about it because Jason Terry came through huge with big-time baskets, man. And like I said, he was going toe-to-toe, so much so that Magic Johnson actually said on the microphone, the key for the Miami Heat is, can LeBron James stop Jason Terry? Not can LeBron James stop Dirk Nowitzki. Can he stop Jason Terry, guys? Think about that. I never remember watching a finals where, Magic Johnson or Isaiah Thomas or Mike Fratello or any of these guys, Marv Albert was like, yo, the key to the series is, can Michael Jordan stop Jeff Hornacek? You know what I'm saying? Or can Michael Jordan stop Dan Marley? Or can he stop John Starks? Or can he stop Joe Wilkins? Or can they? It was never like, who could Michael Jordan stop? Or could the team stop Pippen? They can't stop Scottie Pippen. They got to stop Scottie Pippen to stop the Bulls. You never heard that. It was always like, yo, what are they going to do to stop Jordan? And you never heard another announcer say, Jordan's not doing anything out there on defense. He's actually becoming a liability. So the key to the game is, can he stop his man? You never had these issues, man. Those guys stepped up. J.J. Barea, right? We laugh about J.J. Barea, but he was a key member. He stepped up. Tyson Chandler stepped up. All these guys played their role. And Dirk Nowitzki was the superstar and took over when it mattered most. He embarrassed them dudes. But we have to also understand that goes to it, though. LeBron James choked up that finals, right? He didn't beat LeBron James at his best on his super team, because that would have meant, then we could have been like, yo, he beat them dudes playing at their best. He didn't. He didn't beat them at their best. He beat them. So I don't know how you can say it's the greatest run of all time. Like I said, you've heard people call about Hakeem Olajuwon or this guy, that guy. To me, there is no greatest run of all time. There are impressive runs. There are runs where you could say, hey, this team beat the most 60-win teams in a route to a championship, right? Michael Jordan beat and played against the most 60-win teams in his postseason career. Never lost a home court advantage. So these are the things that we can quantify. Those are the things that we can actually say, right? 2 3-peats, right? To me, how is Michael Jordan's 3-peat in 93 or 98 not considered the greatest run or one of the greatest runs? You're going for a 3-peat. So how hard is that to do? That's got to be considered a great one. How about 1990, the oldest team in the history of the game to win a championship? But not only did they win the championship, they won it on a 3-peat. In a 3-peat. They weren't just like the Dirk Nowitzki Mavericks, the second oldest team to win a championship. They won one championship, guys. They won the one. The Bulls were on a 3-peat for that at the oldest team. That's crazy, guys. So once again, when the oldest team, if another team were to break the Bulls record, let's say that another team won, they were older, right? It's not going to be the same. We got to put context behind it. In perspective, they were on a 3-peat when they did it. On a 3-peat. But that's not one of the most impressive runs? I think it is. Like I said, look at the 60-win teams that they faced. The Hall of Famers that the Bulls went against during that time. Come on, guys. Like I said, it's hard to just quantify this kind of stuff when we go through NBA's history and we talk about great teams going against great teams and winning championships and who they beat to get there. All this stuff, guys. Like I said, it's hard to just put your finger on one team. And like I said, when Brendan Haywood tries to explain it, to me, it's not valid. Like I said, there was a couple times where he just lied. Brandon Roy wasn't Brandon Roy in 2011, guys. He was done at that point. He was not a starter anymore. He had already had the injuries. But he's trying to say, oh, Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge. Okay. Oh, all right. I get it, man. Dirk Nowitzki's better than them dudes. He's better than them. You know what I'm saying? Just is. The team is better. I mean, like, come on, man. We have to keep it, once again, keep the line with the facts. You guys know the deal, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one.